Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Super excited to have Randy Hurtado on the pod today. Tim Brown, who was on the podcast not too long ago, referred me over to Randy and said so many good things. I had to get him on the show. For those of you guys who don't know, Randy is the Chief Operations Officer of the Good Contractors List, and he also helped found. Did you found or did you just help grow DT Roofing
Uh,
as well?
More of growth. Yeah, the company was founded in 2009. I came on in 2016, and we grew it from there.
Awesome. So definitely a lot of experience in the industry. Originally, you were actually in the tech slash IT cybersecurity area, and then you moved into home services, which I want to get into a little bit. And you also helped grow DT Roofing from, sub 2 million to over 30 million in revenue, which was awesome. And that's kind of a huge range of problems that you run into from all the way from sub 2 all the way to 30. So I definitely want to talk about that. And you have a lot of great philosophies that we're going to cover, but I won't spoil any of that in the beginning, Randy. So for those people who don't know exactly who you are, kind of what you do your day to day now, can you give us just a brief rundown of kind of what you're focused on these days?
Sure, sure. So I'm the co-owner and COO of the DT companies, which is comprised of five different companies, four of them in the home service space, one of them in the commercial space. We have a commercial roofing company, a residential roofing company, a construction company that builds homes, does remodels, additions, patios, pergolas, what have you, a garage door and service company, and then a gutter company. And then I'm also the COO of the Good Contractors List, an organization that was founded in 2011 by John Hill. He originally started the company to solve a problem that most homeowners were having with bad contractors. And so he created the first guarantee-backed solution for contractors and homeowners alike to align good contractors with homeowners that just want to get through a job with quality and not get screwed, essentially.
Yeah.
I came on to the Good Contractors List as their COO in 2025 as an initiative to take it from a DFW based solution that had been very successful from 2011 to 2025 and covering more than $5 billion worth of jobs for our contractors to take it nationwide. And so, in the last 100 days since I've come on board, we have now entered into 22 new states and growing. And so, to these days, my focus outside of my meetings that I have with my leadership for the DT companies, my focus is to grow the Good Contractors List and find all of those good contractors throughout the 50 trades throughout the America, so that homeowners have a better option for finding contractors and without having to take risk in doing so.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I really like the whole concept of the good contractors list because there's always been things out there like Home Advisor or Thumbtack that are kind of like claimed to be like, oh, this is where all the good, but it's just a pay to win thing. And then also
Right.
same thing with Better Business Bureau. Everyone thought for like 20 years that it was like this government backed thing, but then they're like, oh wait, it's a private organization where you just pay to be on there.
That's
I
right.
really like the good contractor list. It's the best part is it's like a verified directory and there's warranty and guarantees and all of this really cool stuff that homeowners can use to find those trustworthy home service professionals, which is really cool. And I really like your role and that's why I wanted to get you on the pod today because and correct me if I'm wrong here, but your kind of main focus is to help the contractors themselves really win more business by leveraging the good contractor list. So you're out here talking to these business owners every day saying, hey, how can we help you get more homeowners to your front door and help you serve them in a better way? So I really like that. Um,
Right. Contractors tend to make the mistake of only pouring their money into the lead aggregators, but then
yeah,
oftentimes there's no speed to lead and they lose the opportunity before they even had an opportunity to talk to the customer
yeah,
because those lead aggregators are selling those leads to four or five other competitors. And so what we're telling our message is to the contractor is if you're going to continue to spend that money, then use our guarantee to win the jobs. And at the same time, use this guarantee, the $25,000 per job guarantee, to win more business that you have in front of you, so you don't have to spend as much money on lead aggregators. And
yeah,
so it's both the cost savings as well as a winning solution. But it's not just something that I was hired on to do.
Yeah.
I am a contractor on the Good Contractors List. I've experienced the success that it brings for three of my companies because the other two don't fit the criteria. It's a commercial roofing company, and then the other one is a gutter company, which would technically fit the criteria, except my roofing company is my gutter company's largest customer. And so it didn't make sense for us to put it on yet. We're in the process of growing that company with more teams so that once we can serve more companies outside and customers outside of my own roofing company, then we'll add it to the Good Contractors List. But my garage door company, my construction company, and my residential roofing company have been on the Good Contractors List. And it quite literally helps us win business because
Yeah.
homeowners just say, like, that why wouldn't I go with you? There's no risk. Like you literally have no risk, even though everything
Yep.
about you looks great. If you don't do what you say you're going to do, then this third party will come in and make it right. And so it helps the homeowner make a better decision.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's actually solving a real problem that homeowners have and not some fake problem that that big people in suits with spreadsheets thought they're like, oh, this is a problem that we heard.
And you
Because
mentioned
it's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you mentioned the Better Business Bureau, and for years, homeowners, like you said, they think, well, if this Better Business Bureau gave this company an A+ rating, well, they must be solid. Then they
Yeah.
started to find themselves getting ripped off by these same companies, going, wait a minute. So then they go to the Better Business Bureau and say, hey, I used this company based off of your grade rating, and they ripped me off. They stole $10,000 from me. And their response is, oh, well, we'll go ahead and put in a review and we'll lower their grade. It's like, great. Well, what about my $10,000 that
Yeah.
they took from
Seriously.
me, right?
Yeah.
And so, so that doesn't really help the homeowner, and all it does is just give them a fuzzy feeling up front. Well, great, I chose the company with the better grade, but it doesn't give them any assurance if something goes north or south rather,
Yeah.
that it's going to be resolved. And with this, it does. So,
Yeah, no, exactly. Because I was in sales for a long time in the home service industry, in the actually the gutter business. And the biggest thing that kills deals is risk, right? Risk perception is what kills deals in home service, whatever it might be. Risk of the job not being done correctly, risk of it, you know, taking too long, risk of the price being too high, whatever it is.
yeah,
Because a lot of times homeowners will choose based on perceived safety rather than just
that's it.
completely price alone. And so really like how the Good Contractor List kind of flips that dynamic and saying, hey, you don't have to worry about that because we are going to back this. And there's all these certifications and you can,
And it doesn't
we can
come,
prove to you.
yeah. And that doesn't come without an extensive vetting process. That's the
Oh
reason
yeah.
why we can be successful at this because obviously we're not asking a lot of money from the contractors a month. So we could go out of business really quickly if we weren't choosing the good guys,
Yeah.
right? And so you can have a company, and many homeowners have chosen these companies and ultimately found out the wrong way that they weren't the right companies that are really good at robbing Peter to pay Paul. But when you have an organization like the Good Contractors List that vets the company, they're going to see if this is a problem. Like
Yeah.
they're not paying their material bills, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. That's a risk for us. That's a red flag. Now, this doesn't fit our requirements,
Right.
because we need to make sure that this is a good guy. You know, we hear it all the time. Well, you'll never get a claim from us. And it's like, that's our goal is for you not to have, that's why we're charging so little, and a lot of that charge goes to marketing to let homeowners know the Good Contractors List exists so that they will come to you and find you on the list. So, we're banking on the fact that you're going to be a good guy,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
How many states are you guys in right now?
22,
Okay. Okay.
as of
And is
100
that
days ago,
evenly distributed?
100 days ago, we were just in DFW.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So
And
really rapid
so
expansion.
yes, and it's just really a matter of getting in front of, for us, it's getting in front of the multitude in every trade, for them to understand. Like, there's an organization out there that understands that you wake up every morning to properly run your business and serve your customers,
Yeah.
and you're not differentiated from any of the other fly by nights that can care less, that are running their businesses poorly. Um, and you're losing business to them. And so what this does is it gives you that trust factor in front of the homeowner that otherwise is just assumed. You know, if they pull up to my house with a truck that's got a wrap on it, they must be doing well. Like, no, we're actually vetting that to verify they are who you need to be working with.
Yeah.
And if that offends a contractor watching this, like, think about the heart behind that. Like, if that offends you, you're probably the guy that we're talking about, you know?
Right.
Because
Right.
if you're not, you're the guy that's going, I totally get that. Like, I wake up going, why am I losing against this clown who's covering on the roofing side, for example, covering deductibles, doing overlays, doing all these things to cut corners. When I'm legitimately taking it to the deck every time, replacing decking boards that are rotten, doing it right, truly caring for this customer's home, and I get to lose to this knucklehead over here who wants to cut corners. And
Yep.
so it resonates generally with the good guys to go, no, I totally get what you're doing here, and I want to be a part of it. It's a
Yeah.
movement. It really is. It's a movement. It's a safe community of contractors that homeowners can find when they have a service that they need. It's as
Yeah.
simple as
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's a win-win from every scenario because the homeowner gets someone that they can trust, and the contractor gets qualified, strong leads that are looking for not just price shopping, right? They're looking
Yeah.
for who do I know that can do the job correctly?
And it just depends on what market you're in. Like in the DFW market, we've been established for 14 years. So
Hmm.
the concept of receiving opportunities from the website from homeowners is obvious. Like
Right.
homeowners go there in DFW, that's where they go to find their contractors because they know everybody that I find, regardless of trade, has that $25,000 guarantee. So I don't have to worry about it. Now, if
Right.
you're a company in Minnesota or in Omaha, that is joining the list, you're paying a much lower amount because at that point you're just using it for the guarantee to win the
Yeah.
business that you have in front of you. But as we grow the good contractors list in your area with all the other trades, then it mimics what DFW is doing now. And so
Yeah.
DFW contractors pay a lot more to be on the list because there is that opportunity to get actual leads from the website.
Right.
Whereas outside, it's not as prevalent. And
Yeah.
so that's why we charge as little as we do in that regard. But
Hmm.
this is a long-term play for us is to
Yeah.
grow what we did in DFW to mimic that to the nation.
Yeah.
And
Of
and it's
course.
slowly it's a drip, but it's happening.
Right. And it only gets better with more scale too. Like it only
That's
gets
it.
more beneficial to everybody as it gets bigger. So that's why we're sitting here today trying to help you
Yeah, that's
guys
right.
get bigger. So I want to talk about your journey a little bit more too.
Mhm.
We mentioned earlier how you kind of moved from the cybersecurity tech space into home services.
Yep.
What kind of sparked that transition? What was that movement for you?
So I was trucking along for over 20 years in the IT security software space, working with the Fortune 50s, the federal government, doing a lot of identifying of threat assessments, and then helping them identify specifically. The area of expertise for me was privileged identity management. So what that is every computer that you log into in a company has both a local presence as well as a domain presence if it's connected to a network. And both of those entities have credentials that have power to them, like the God, lowercase g, to the network. And so bad guys know that, right? And so whether the bad guy works for you or the bad guy's outside of your organization, they know in order to get access to the information that they want access to, they need to get those credentials. And so for over 20 years, I worked in an organization that built software that would help companies from every stripe to mitigate that risk, to essentially make it so that it's not a common password across every single system to get access as an admin, that you have to actually log in with a unique ID for that system only. Picture like instead of there being a master key in an apartment building, every single apartment has its own unique key. And so I did that. I enjoyed it for many years. And actually, similar to this company, DT Roofing, I helped grow that company from a smaller $1 to $2 million organization back when I joined to being sold for uh, to private equity for a mint. And so I was very happy for the owners at the time. I was hired by the owner of the company, so I always had a great relationship with them. We still connect this day, today. But it was just a situation where all that hard work that they put in finally paid off. They had somebody that wanted to buy them out, but that buyout didn't include taking me with them because where I was located in DFW, they already had other team members that did what I did in that area. And even if I was one of their top performers, they didn't need the extra expense. And so, whenever private equity gets involved, the first thing they're doing is cutting costs, right? Even though I was a producer, um, they had four of me in the area. So it's not necessary. So that was fine. It worked out for the better because around the time that that happened, I had moved from my home office to a remote office because working from home was really difficult with the kids and the dogs and barking and doorbells ringing. This was pre-COVID where it wasn't appropriate to be working from home and having background noise. Like
Right.
right now, if your dog started barking, you and I would be like, that's normal, right?
Right.
But pre-COVID, that would have been unprofessional. Like get yourself in a professional environment where, you can have a business conversation and not have distractions. But with the advent of, I say the advent of COVID, well, that's a whole nother political conversation. But with COVID coming to the picture, people were more understanding. They understood, look, my boss is making me work from home. So if there's some background noise, and so I moved to a remote office and it just happened to be next to the small roofing company. And so being the extrovert that I am, I made friends with everybody that was had a business within that area, including the roofing company. And Derek, my now partner, was one of them. And so we'd go to lunch, we'd talk business. I didn't know anything about roofing or construction. I like to say my mom had four boys. Three of them were in construction, and one of them was a nerd, and I was the nerd. But ultimately, God had different plans for me in regards to getting into construction. And so ultimately, I did. But so I didn't really know a whole lot about roofing or construction, but I did understand business. I understood sales, I understood marketing, the principles of all that. And so I would give some feedback to him, like, hey, have you tried this? And he'd try it and he'd work. And so for a while, he was like, man, I wish you could come work for me. And I'm thinking, I would literally tell him, like, you can't afford me, you know, because it was a smaller roofing company. I was doing really well in my specialty. Uh, but then, in an effort to try to help him, because that is, I mean, any podcast you ever see me on, you heard me talk about, I love to help people, regardless of whether they're my competitor or not. Um, I saw an opportunity to help him with his business. And so I said, why don't I sell for you on like nights and weekends while I'm doing my IT thing so I can at least learn your industry, learn the insurance process, and then maybe I can give you some additional feedback. Well, in doing that, I started to fall in love with it. Well, then it turns out perfect timing. I say God's timing. Uh, the company that I was working for got bought by private equity, and I get a call from the owner saying, hey, they're not going to bring you on. And so we've got this severance package here. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like this was my identity. Like this is what I've been doing for all of these years. And so I had two options. I could either go to LinkedIn and find another job elsewhere in the same space and continue to thrive in that area, or I can try something new. And so went to my wife and said, babe, I really feel like I'm called to start this, start a roofing sales career. So I think I'm going to do this. We had a little, cushion from the severance. And so went into sales full time for DT with the concept of being sales. Shortly after that, I realized that there wasn't a whole lot of process in place. They didn't have a real good CRM. They didn't have really anything in place. Everything was on paper and for the most part. And so I started taking on a lot of the responsibilities that a sales manager, that an operations manager would take on. And so I finally went to the owner at the time, Derek, my now partner, and said, listen, um, I'm having to do a lot of this stuff, and I don't mind. I'm up for the challenge, but I need to run this. Like, I just need it to be official that I'm running the thing. Like, you deal with the taxes in the back end and paying the vendors and paying this, salaries and what have you. But I'm gonna run sales and marketing, and I need that approval from you because I don't want to have to ask permission every time I want to do something little. And he did. He went with that, and we went from a 1.8 on average, a $1.8 million a year company from 2009 to 2016 to a $3.7 million company the first year under my leadership. Then the second year we did 5.8, and it was at that point that I asked for equity. I basically said, listen, I've already spent 20 some odd years helping a company grow only for me to not have a job at the end. I don't want to do that again to my family. And I'm not a spring chicken, right? So I'm only getting older. and I need to make sure I have more security. I think I've proven that I know what I'm doing. And so ultimately he had decided that let's do that. And so we started growing the roofing company. It grew to a $10 million company that year that he did that. That at that point is when I exited sales to hire more people to train them so we can scale. Because while I was doing all of that, I was also the top salesperson for the company. So the revenue was half of the revenue was being relied upon me. That didn't make sense. And so I basically went to my partner. I said, listen, I'm going to get out of sales and I'm going to hire more guys and teach them how to do it the way I was doing it so we could scale more. And that next full year, we doubled our revenue from 10 to 20 million. And so it was at the time, it sounded like insanity to him because he's like, wait a minute, I just gave you half my company and now you're going to get out of sales when you're half our revenue. And I just say, you got to trust me. And it was good timing too, because it was right around COVID where a lot of people were losing their jobs for various reasons. One of my guys, he was a radiologist. He was a radiology tech that, funny thing happens when nobody's outside playing because they're confined to their house. They're not outside breaking their bones. And so they didn't need a radiologist at his hospital anymore, so they let him go. I picked him up. Great personality. Um, Another guy, he was a billboard construction crew boss. He people weren't outside driving around to see billboards for advertising, so advertising was getting pulled. So that after 17 years having a job there, he was let go. There was a lot of opportunity where I, jumped on it and said, great guy, never sold anything in his life, but he has a great personality. Seems like he's going to work hard. I'll train him what I need him to learn. And so that's how our team grew, was just basically a bunch of people who didn't have any sales experience, but had attributes I couldn't train for. And so we just started growing, and then we started dabbling in other trades. Like we wanted to start doing construction. So then we did it for a year under DT roofing, and then realized we had something there. So we started a construction company, because I'm a firm believer that you don't want to tag on a bunch of different trades into the single name, because what homeowner looks at you as, um, you think that the homeowner looks at you as, wow, this guy knows how to do a bunch of stuff. And the reality is they're going, what is this guy good at? Because he seems to try to do everything. And so, and it's also terrible for your SEO. And so we started individual companies as we learned that we wanted to get into those trades. And yeah, so ultimately, they've all been successful and in their own right. They have their own leadership, their own sales team. The only thing that they share is the marketing and our CFO, and everything else they have their own staff.
Mm,
So
I like
that's
that.
kind of the
That's
background
awesome.
behind how I got into construction and where we're at today.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, 2 to 30 is crazy. And being not familiar with the construction industry to coming in and just having general business knowledge that you can pass on to then take that leap is truly amazing. What are some of the key things that you think that what are some of the key levers that you pulled, right? Was it marketing? Was it getting things organized? Was it the people? What do you think are some of the top 2 or 3 things that really made that jump possible?
They get outside the box. So one of the benefits of coming into an industry that you really didn't know anything about was not making some of the same mistakes that people make coming into the industry when they do know about the industry. For example, we didn't put a lot of emphasis right out of the gate on door knocking. Um, Instead, what made me successful as a salesperson at this company was my relationship building with other professionals who needed my service in order to be successful themselves.
Mm,
So so I went out looking for people who fit that title. So real estate agents, perfect. Property managers, perfect. Insurance agents, perfect. Because each one of those professions ultimately will need a roofer at some point in order for them to either close that deal, sign that contract, or manage that property. And so I did a really good job as a salesperson forging those relationships to the point where I couldn't take company generated leads. Like most salespeople in the roofing world rely on those. They're like, I need leads. I can't sell without leads. I couldn't take the company's leads. I would say, give it to the other guys. I don't have time. because I had so many calls coming in. And the reason that was the case is it wasn't because I was just getting in front of a bunch of real estate agents, property managers, or insurance agents. It was what I was telling them, the value that I was building with them. I didn't go in there talking about roofing. I was talking about how I could fix problems that they have. And that resonated because this guy
Mm.
didn't come in with a dozen donuts and a bunch of business cards and say, if your customers need any roofing services, give me a call. I came in talking about how many times have you gotten, a buyer on the hook for a real estate deal and a home inspection happens and they scare the crap out of the buyer with all of these, notes on the inspection report about the roof that most of the time they don't even know what they're looking at. So they write some concerns on there that really aren't concerns. That's what the flashing's supposed to look like or whatever. Call me before you do the inspection and I'll give a clear or tell you what's wrong with the roof if you're on the selling side before you even list it, and we'll get ahead of all this. So when that home inspection report is ordered and you hand them my report as a professional roofer who's a technician and understands this world, saying there's nothing wrong with the roof, a funny thing happens. Nothing shows up on the report about the roof. And as real estate agents started to understand that this blockage that would often slow the closing was starting to free up more and more. They're like, Randy's my guy. Like he's the one helping me. So I was
Right.
getting just inundated with calls on the daily about, hey, can you go and take a look at this property I'm about to list it? I'm about to, and if I got out there and the roof needed to be replaced, we'd work with the seller's insurance company to get the roof replaced. Now they get to list it and the listing gets to say brand new roof. Well, that makes it a much more appealing buy for a buyer. And you don't have to negotiate as much on the back end as the real estate agent because every dollar that you negotiate for a real estate agent, you're losing commission.
Yeah.
And so if you build more value into that listing and you can get to the end and they're like, well, these are the contingencies we want. And you're like, no, I'm not doing any of that. I just put a $30,000 roof on this house.
Right.
Boom, you have leverage. And so that really resonated with a lot of the realtors. And there's examples of that in the other two spaces as well. So to answer your question, those are some of the things that we did. And I taught my guys how to do that as well. So we don't
Mm.
worry about if there's a storm.
Yeah.
If there's a storm in our area, that's just icing on the cake.
Right.
Our relationships are the reason why our company is successful year over year, regardless of what the weather does.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
I like to tell the story. Last year, in 2024, there was a storm that hit our area in May, and in June, we had a $6.5 million month. Why? Was it because we got out there and door knocked a bunch of? No. All those relationships came home to roost.
Mm.
Everything we did before the storm hit made all the difference once the storm got here.
Yep.
And so that is what roofing companies and contractors as a whole need to do is if you're only setting yourself up and you're doing your marketing, your SEO based around events, then you're going to be an event driven business. But
Yep.
if you're constantly looking for ways to connect to your constituency, whether it be the homeowners themselves or other professionals, you're going to be successful. You just have to show up. Just answer your
Yep.
phone.
Yep. Yep. And I like that. I mean, you essentially did connect yourself to an event too, but it was a much more common event, the sale of a home, right? Or the inspection of a home. And so it was
Yeah.
something that you could rely on a lot more.
But
And I
the
really
event
like
wasn't weather related and the event
right.
wasn't seasonal related because
It was predictable.
houses sell in all times of the year,
Yeah.
right? And there was actually a report that was put out by gosh, I'm gonna forget their name. Anyhow, it was a real estate organization that put out in 2024 that said 50% of homes that go up for sale either have a damaged roof that needs repairs or a roof that needs to be replaced. 50%. So if a company just made and somebody will steal this idea, but if they just called themselves Realtor Roofing and said, all we do is work with realtors, they would have a very successful business. Because let me tell you what that results in. In 2024, that resulted in, sorry, 2023, that resulted in $8.4 million worth of business from just those people type overall. Not just, that wasn't my revenue as a whole. That was just from realtors, insurance agents, and property managers. Last year, that resulted in $11.7 million of my revenue.
Wow.
So those are really good roofing company sizes
Yeah.
just on their own. So
Yeah.
if somebody out there just said realtor roofing, they would probably do just fine,
Yeah.
And so that was the secret to our, and that's the secret it's a secret that I've written uh, in the Hometown Hero book by Tim Brown.
Yep. There we go.
I've written about it in Hunter Bailu's book. I've written about it in Daniel Zavatny's book. I think his was called "Start and Grow Your Roofing Company." You know, this isn't. It's not a secret. Like, I'm willing to share this concept and this process. I've even done training on it where I have like 14 videos that I've recorded, and I'll send it to anyone that asks for it. Like, any
Yeah.
roofing company out there, if you find me on Facebook, Randy Martin Hurtado, hit me up. I'll send you the link to the Google share to get access to all this material. Like, it works. And if you
Yeah.
don't think real estate agents are a good investment and time, send them to me. I'll be happy to
Right.
work with them.
Right, right. That's awesome. Can you, I'm actually curious, can you dive in? You don't have to give the whole playbook if you don't want to. I don't think we have time for all that, but what are some key points of like how you actually get in touch with these people? What do you, once you actually do get in touch with them, what do you say? How do you actually make that relationship? Like, what are the tactics behind that?
So we've already talked a little bit about the real estate agents. The way that we get in front of them is we just very plainly walk into their offices, ask them when they have their bi-monthly meetings, and if they have them in the morning or the afternoon, so we can bring a meal. So we'll bring breakfast or we'll bring lunch, and while they're chewing on our food, we're giving our pitch most of the time. And it's not just a one and done thing either. Our team is really good at continuously building that relationship, because you're always, especially in real estate, you're always going to have a new guy in the room, that
Yeah.
just joined the organization 3 months ago or whatever. The other benefit of doing that on a continual basis, but besides the relationship building that it does, is you'll then have use cases in the room where the first time I won't have any use cases, right? No one's experienced us in this concept. So you got to get them to start calling. But after you've been doing it for a while, you're like, Janet, just last week, she called and Janet's like, oh yes, he came right out. Boom, Johnny on the spot. We won the deal. And Janet starts selling for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so then everybody else, starts going, well, I'm going to start using, this company. So it's about get in front of them, and then consistency, constantly being in front of them, and reminding them that it is important to make you part of their process. And if you do, then they end up saving money. They end up holding on to commission.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so that's on the real estate side. Insurance agents a little bit different, obviously, and it's a little bit different if you're in a storm market versus a retail market. Um, in a storm market like we're in, it really resonates, when you go in, and instead of, like I said, being that traditional roofer that brings in suites of some sort and your business cards and just says, hey, I'd love to serve your customers if you guys have any roofing needs. Duh, like everybody would say that. Again, about going to them about value, right? First thing we do and what we train our guys to do is walk in and just say, yeah, can I talk to whoever writes new policies here? Well, what does that imply? One, I've just gotten past the gatekeeper, because Janet or Steve up front is going to go and get that person for me. That's the person that normally gatekeeps. They're going to go, why are they going to go get them for me? Because they think that the question I just asked means I want to get a new policy.
Yeah.
And so I'm potential business. So when that person comes out, I introduce myself, who I am and who I'm with. And then I ask a question, sales 101, ask questions. I'll ask a question like, how often do you have you experienced, or do you think happens where you'll sign a contract, an insurance policy with somebody, and then a few months later, after a pea-sized hailstorm comes through, she, they will, sorry, I had somebody trying, I thought I had it on do not disturb, but it's like bouncing in front of my screen.
There he goes.
But somebody 3 months ago that you signed up, small storm comes through. We all know that it didn't do any damage, yet they're filing a hail claim. And now you're stuck replacing their roof because hail did fall out of the sky and there is damage on their roof. That could have all been avoided had you partnered with us. If you make us part of your process, every time you're going to write a policy, you have as part of your process, I'm going to have my roofer go out and take a quick look at your roof so they can give me a report, and then we'll go ahead and finalize this. Well, if I get out there and there's damage on the roof, or if there's a full roof to be replaced, we're working with the homeowner and their insurance company, go through that process, get the roof replaced. Now we deliver them back to the original insurance company that we're partnered with, and now they're even able to write a better insurance policy for them because they have a brand new roof. It's not even
Yep.
a roof with age. And so their risk score goes way down. The insurance agent gets a customer that they'll likely get several uh, payments from for into the years before they're having to actually pay any claims. So
Right.
everyone's happy, right? Everyone's happy in that case. So same example. I didn't go in there and go roof, 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 roof. I just said, this is how I help real estate agents, or I'm sorry, insurance agents. And
Right.
it resonates because they're like, yes, this could be a way that I get more, I take less risk.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Where did you learn to do that? Was that all self-taught or did you have
inherent
mentors?
God-given gift. I was not taught any of this. I
That's
have a
awesome.
high school education. And in fact, even more so, I graduated from a continuation school. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's where they send the troubled students.
Yeah.
I was a punk in high school. I got into fights all the time. I always had a chip on my shoulder and something to prove. And, psychologically, I probably did. I didn't, my birth father wasn't in my picture my entire life. So as a 48-year-old man, I could probably say I probably had something to prove. And so I was always looking for an opportunity for someone to disrespect me. I grew up in LA. I didn't grow up in
Right.
Texas. I grew up in LA, in a pretty rough neighborhood. And so I was the minority in my neighborhood. And so I had something to prove all the time. And so if
Hmm.
somebody was going to disrespect me, I wasn't going to allow it. And I had to lay hands. So like, right. So,
Right.
so I graduated and I would absolutely love to be able to go back to that continuation school now as an adult and get in front of the students there and say, listen, this isn't the end. Like, you may feel like you've screwed up. You're here. You're not in the regular high school. You had to go to where the knuckleheads go. But I'm an example that if you would just allow, if you would just try, and a lot of it, for me, a lot of it is my faith. I really truly believe that God, pulled me out of that world,
Right.
that mindset and everything. But you know, there is success at the end, and this if you'll give it a shot. But if you just want to be a victim and say, well, these are the cards I was dealt, so this is the life I'm going to live. Well, then that's on you, because I'm a living example of somebody who, like I said, I don't have anything more than a high school education, and I own and operate companies that will do $50 million in revenue this year, and I'm building a $500 million company right now that will be uh, nationwide in no time. So, you know, excuses. There are adages out there for excuses, and it's not a really nice one, but most of them have heard that adage. But
Right.
they're like certain things, and they both stink. Like just get out there and make it happen. The grind is real, and with a little bit of sweat, and but as far as where I learned to do it, I just learned early on, one, that I was good at sales. I was good at understanding. I'm not a used car salesman type of salesman. Those
Right.
type of guys just irritate the crap out of me when I go to buy something and they're like that.
Right.
Um,
You're
I
like, I know
truly,
exactly the script you're using.
yeah, I truly do care about the end result of my customer's project or service that I'm providing.
Yeah.
I carried that into my, professional career in IT security, where I was also self-taught, got all my Microsoft certifications, just by learning. I'm a hands-on guy, so don't tell me, don't give me a book to read, show me, and then I'll click through every single context menu and everything in the software, and I'll get it, I'll understand it. And so that's what I carried over to here. I understood that in sales. And if you focus 100% on serving, the success will come. Simple
Yeah.
as that. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that. All these guys, you just got to hustle, you just got to grind and all this. It's like, yeah, that's important. But if your motivation is only the money and it's not making sure that this person has a stellar experience, then you're actually hurting yourself on the back end, even if your motivation is money, because those people aren't going to tell other people about you,
Yeah.
which would have
Not,
been
not
more
going to stick
money.
around.
And
Yeah.
they're certainly not going to repeat business with you in the future.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, so I would say I give God all the glory for the talents that He's given me, but it's just a matter of then taking those, recognizing them, and then serving my customers well and
Yeah.
teaching my team. We have a team of 84 between our companies, and everybody, our culture is absolutely like who I am. Is the way we serve and the way I served as a salesperson is exactly the way our organization runs,
Yeah.
and
That's awesome.
so.
That's awesome. How are you using some of those same ideas, tactics, out of the box thinking to grow the good contractor list as you grew the DT companies?
Well, it's actually a very similar mindset in that instead of, obviously the homeowner is our end focus because
Right.
we want to be able to create a safe community of contractors for homeowners to find their contractors and to use contractors that are on the list that are backed. But ultimately, my goal there is on the contractor side. I want to find the good guys that think like I do, right?
Yeah.
I think that was the genius that our CEO and our founder had in bringing me on board as a COO. Is they understood we need a contractor in that
Yeah.
role
Yeah.
because
Seriously.
he thinks like a contractor. And so, that's ultimately everything that I do, every decision that's made, I think of it like, oh, we'll be in meetings and they'll be like, I think we need to do this. And I'm like, nope, nope, that doesn't work. I'll tell you why. And then I'll give them my opinion based on a contractor's mindset. And
Right.
and sometimes it's met with, resistance, and other times like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But nevertheless, that's where I'm coming at that perspective. And so much like with my home service companies and my commercial company, the customer's end experience is very important. So is the experience of the contractor, and making sure that the good guys that make our list are successful and that they think differently than what the world is telling them. And that is, you just need to buy more leads. You just need to buy more leads.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something, buddy. I'm running a $30 million residential roofing company, a $15 million or commercial roofing company. Our construction company is doing really well. The other companies, I don't buy leads. I don't buy leads. Every single lead that comes through is either generated through our marketing efforts or personal relationships that our guys have created. If you look at a bar graph um, on our lead sources in our CRM, self-generated, it's like that, and then the rest of them are like here, all the way down.
Right.
A majority of our opportunity comes from our relationships that we build.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that lead companies aren't necessary. I'm saying maybe you use a little money towards that, but stop being lazy. Like
Yeah.
contractors just need to go back to the old school way of doing things and get out in front of their customers. And, we'll do things like we'll do events within communities where we have an opportunity to rub elbows with the homeowners
Mm.
because we want them to know us on a personal level, not just that company that comes across their Facebook feed every once in a while. They're much more likely to do business with a company that they know or, have human beings that are relational and everything than just somebody that's really good at marketing and can do a cool TikTok dance, Um,
Right.
so that is what we're doing with the Good Contractors List is we're helping contractors, one, realize, yes, you can keep buying leads, but use this to close them, because
Yeah.
otherwise you sound like every other contractor that's calling them. We've been in
Yeah.
business this long. We have this many reviews on Google. We have this certification. We have all this, and it's like that's what the last four guys told me.
Yeah.
But when you
Seriously.
back it up with, we're also members of the Good Contractors List, and what that means for you is this job and every single job we do is backed by a third party with a $25,000 guarantee.
Yeah.
So if we're not everything that I'm claiming we are, they come in behind us and make it right. So you
Yeah.
literally have no risk working with my company.
Yeah.
How, as a
Emphasis.
homeowner, go ahead.
I was just going to say emphasis on the this is what that means for you, right?
Yeah.
It's not we're part of this, so that means we have this certification and we're
Yeah.
insured and do
Me, me,
it.
me,
This is
me, me. Right.
exactly
Okay.
here's what this being part of this organization means for you, the customer, not here's
That's
all
right.
the things that we get from it.
It's quite literally like handing the customer an insurance policy for $25,000 for the success of that job and saying, I've already pre-bought this for you. You
Yeah.
don't pay a penny for it. If I don't do everything that my contract says and I'm not willing to fix it, you contact them and they make it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like no risk at all. And the homeowner didn't pay a penny for it.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
awesome.
why homeowners say, well, that makes complete sense. So it's just a matter of training our contractors to present it properly, make it
Right.
part of their DNA within their company. We have contractors that are on the list today that started with us in 11. When we
Yeah.
were a startup, that it was a crazy concept. Wait, you're gonna go out and you're going to find contractors and then financially back them with your own money. We don't have an insurance policy that we retain for those claims. We're using our money for those claims. We've backed more than $5 billion worth of jobs in DFW alone since 2011.
Wow.
If we weren't good at finding the right contractors, we'd have
We'd
been
be out of
out of
business.
business within the first year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that is why this works so well, is because homeowners realize, like, I don't have to worry about if this guy isn't everything he said he is, then
Yeah.
and so that's where the success comes from in that regard. So
Yeah.
taking it nationwide was just a no-brainer. The only reason why John hadn't taken nationwide is because he had a small team, and he couldn't really figure like what would that look like? Like,
Yeah.
I know how it looks in DFW, but what would that look like when we go nationwide? And so he just needed a team behind him that has worked in the larger world to go, it's not as difficult as you think. It's just scale. It's just taking what you did and scaling it. You've
Right.
already built the blueprint for success. Now let's just take that blueprint and scale it.
Yep.
And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And it's resonating. We have one of the other things, on that same vein, you asked about how does that carry over to the Good Contractors List. And I say the contractors are what we are, for our homeowners on the home service side. Is one of the very first programs that I started working on when I came on board 100 days ago was a contractor resource center. I realized as a contractor that through our growth, there's been times where I realized, boy, we really do stink at that particular thing. Maybe our bookkeeping isn't really good, or our SEO stinks, or our marketing could be better, or this could be better, or that could be better. And so what I started building was a comprehensive list of service-based companies that we can partner with the Good Contractors List, to help our contractors be more successful in their business. So once they're on the list, they have access to these services that are giving them a better deal than they would have gotten if they would have just found them on their own outside of the list. So that's another benefit, a badge of honor, is if you're on the Good Contractors List, you get this percent off of our service. But first, let's show you why you want our service.
Right.
And with the ultimate goal of, if I can help a contractor grow their business because they are lacking in a particular area within their business, that's not only going to help them, but then if they're saving on those services, every dollar they're saving, it could reduce the cost of even being on the list to begin with.
Yeah. Seriously.
So that's another, value add. Again, value add is what we're always talking about, that we bring to our contractors on the Good Contractors List. It's not just about the $250 a month that you pay for getting the guarantee on every single job you do, but also having access to these resources that we've already pre-negotiated, that you'll be able to help grow your business. Maybe you hate your CRM. Well, we have CRM providers in our list that are ready to work with you. And these are companies that aren't pay to play. Like we don't charge them a monthly rate to be on our list, so we can make money off of them as well. They we vet them. I just was on a call before you with a company who provides a call service for home service companies, and it's very important. I've never used them before, so it's very important for me to go through the entire thing and go, okay. So now the next step is they're sending me recordings of how phone conversations go with customers when they're trying to set appointments for these contractors and stuff. I want to know, since I haven't experienced them myself, that if my contractors on the Good Contractors List reaches out to them, that they're going to have a stellar experience.
Yeah.
And so that's really important to me. But so that the contractors are to us who the homeowners are to the home service businesses that I run, and who ultimately my contractors work with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. Providing value in multiple different ways,
yep.
which is awesome. As we wrap up here, where do you see the Good Contractor List heading in the next 3 to 5? What's your vision?
I see the Good Contractors List. I know this is a very bold statement, but it's my vision, and that is it's mine and my team's vision is to displace the likes of Angie's and Home Advisor.
Mm.
Because right now, homeowners or Thumbtack or what have you, is homeowners will go to those services, they'll put in their information, and then they'll get inundated with a bunch of contractors they've never met before, didn't get a chance to vet, they don't know anything about them, and now their buying decision is purely based off of whoever can race to the bottom first on price. And then they're upset when they get a poor service, right?
Right.
Um, with the Good Contractors List, homeowners will be able to and can currently today go to the list, put in the trade that they're looking for, and no matter who shows up on the list in their area, that contractor has that $25,000 guarantee for every job that they do. Not 25,000 per month, per week. It's every single job they do. And I also want to address an elephant in the room, and that is, well, what happens if the job that I'm doing with the contractor is more than 25,000? The reason why we landed on 25,000 is because the experience that we've had, which is lengthy, right? We started in 2011. We've never paid out more than 25,000 for any claim that we have had to deal with. And that
Mm.
includes for contractors that are remodelers that do 300,000 plus jobs and what have you. Because when something does go wrong and the contractor isn't willing or able to make it right, and we have to kick them off the list at that point, um, it's an aspect of the job. It's not the whole job, right?
Right.
So, I paid them. The example I like to give is I paid them to do siding on my whole house, and 3/4 of the house looks great, but the front looks like a cross-eyed 3-year-old did it, and they weren't willing to come back and fix it. And so now I just have to hire another good contractor to go out and fix that front of the house. That's not going to cost me $25,000, right? And so that's the concept behind it. Yeah, so the future of the Good Contractors List is to create a new way of thinking for homeowners to find their contractors, and for the good guys out there that are providing home services to have a safe home to be a part of, where they're not worried if, for example, if I lose a deal to another good contractor in the roofing space in my area, I'm okay with that because I'm also a businessman. I understand I have to earn that customer's business. I don't just get the right to be it just because I'm part of some membership, right?
Yeah.
So if I lose it to another good contractor, I'm okay with that because I
Yeah.
know the homeowner is going to at least get it taken care of.
Yeah.
But if I lose it to the clown who's been on Facebook talking about after the storm last night, give us a call and we'll cover your deductible, paint your house, do all this stuff, and I know that they're screwing the customer, that guy I don't want to lose to. Not
Yeah.
because I don't want to lose the business, is because I don't want that homeowner screwed. And
Yeah.
if we go at it as entrepreneurs, as home service businesses, with that mindset that we care about the customer, you'll always be successful.
Yep.
And that has been my experience. That isn't just some little thing that I wrote on a postcard somewhere. That has been my experience since 2016, now almost 10 years. And even beyond that, when I was in IT security software, when I put the customer's needs above my own, I always was successful.
Yeah.
Trying to understand where the customer's coming from, what have you. So,
That's
yep.
awesome. I love that. I love that. Well, We'll close out here, but for anyone who wants to learn more about you guys, find out where they can get vetted, all that fun stuff, where should they go?
So if you're a contractor and you want to know more about the Good Contractors List, you will just go to thegoodcontractorslist.com. And there's an option on there that says become a member. You just click on that, fill out the information, and then our team will reach out to you and go through the vetting process. If you are a homeowner or another contractor that knows of a good contractor, maybe in a space outside of yours, maybe I'm a roofing guy and I know of an HVAC guy that needs to be on this list in my area, or you're a homeowner that knows of a good contractor that you'd recommend for the Good Contractors List, then there's also an option on our homepage for that as well. And you just simply go there and submit that, and we'll reach out and we'll go over it. We're also going to be at RoofCon next week in Oklahoma City. We'll be we're actually a partnership is really big with us. So this time we're going to be at the Van Boxel Roofing Supply booth, partnering with them and their booth. And then we're also going to be at IRE mid-month next month. We'll also be
Nice.
with Van Boxel Building Supply. And yeah, and then we'll be at various other shows throughout the year, but in all different trades. That's just the roofing company trade shows that we're going to. But yeah, expect to see the Good Contractors List, come into a city near you. And if you're a contractor, hop on because you don't want to be left behind. If you're a good guy, this is the right place to be because we're doing big
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'm rooting for you guys. I love the concept. I love the execution. Everything about it is right up my alley. So I love it, and I hope you guys kick off Angie sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I really do appreciate you having me on your show. And
Of course.
hopefully, if one person watches this and it provides value to them, then we've done our job.
Yep, I completely agree. Well, thank you, Randy, and we'll talk soon.
All right, take care.